Neil Spake, CEO of the Bermuda Cricket Board. The season is still young, relatively young, but week in and week out we're constantly seeing more and more suspensions being handed out. What is the board, or is the board doing anything to try and educate, prevent, communicate with to try and find out why we're in the predicament we're in, constantly making ourselves look bad? Are we talking with the clubs? Are we talking with the players? What are we doing?
Well, there's a lot going on. It has been very disappointed that a minority of individuals have behaved really badly at a number of games. Obviously, the board has a robust and tested disciplinary process, and some pretty significant sanctions have been handed out in the first few weeks. And it was pleasing that last weekend was the first one they didn't have to meet. We do meet regularly with the clubs. There's another meeting on Friday. So Friday, whatever Friday is, tomorrow, June 9th. And that will be top of the agenda. So we meet with the clubs regularly. We stress the importance of the spirit of the game and what cricket is about. There are sanctions within the regulations that could lead to points, but obviously we want to get in front of these type of issues and have clubs and captains and coaches really stress the importance of how the game is supposed to be played. There's a lot of young people playing cricket. We saw that at the Hiscox game. They'll be looking up to the older players and the senior players, and the behaviour needs to be a lot better. So we'll be stressing that tomorrow evening, and hopefully people will take it on board.
Any thought of maybe, because you say you're going to talk to the clubs, but any thought of maybe having a few players come in to talk about what's going on? Because a lot of this could possibly be what's happening outside the game that they're bringing to the game. So how do we address that? Any thought of maybe inviting players in as well to talk about how we can approach certain scenarios?
Yeah, we're open to speak with anyone that's going to help fix an issue. We're all ears, the door's open. So at the moment we have a meeting with the clubs, and that will be mainly captains and coaches. And obviously a lot of our coaching staff are involved with those guys on the national squad, so there's 25, 28 players that are there. But I think that may well be something that we'll put to the clubs to see if we can find out why this has been a really constant theme at the start of the year.
It must be worrying for the board itself, because week in and week out, we're constantly getting, even if it's a week suspension, a game suspension, or whatever it is, it's a suspension, and we don't have that many players playing in the senior level anymore. The numbers are dwindling, clubs are struggling financially and for whatever reason on the field. But having the opportunity to get in front of it, is that the aim and the goal of the president of the Bermuda Cricket Board?
No, absolutely. No one's happy with where we're at. It's not acceptable that people have behaved the way they have, and there have been consequences, and I think people understand that. Last weekend was our first clean weekend. Willicott's got a great report from the umpire in terms of how they played that game. So, the clubs do recognise, I think the majority of people know how the game is supposed to be played. So we're going to continue to be proactive and to make sure that the people that are coming through the system recognise what a great sport we have, and behaviour like that is just not acceptable and just not part of our sport.
One of the most important things is informing the public, because they have to have buy-in. You want people to come out and watch the game, but if the general public doesn't know that you're having these meetings, that you're talking about behavior, because all they see is the report of the behavior.
Right.
And my thought was, I was going to go to the game, but no, I'm not going to go anymore because these players can't behave. But is there anything that the board is thinking about, or maybe in talks with the clubs, of putting out how they're trying to address it, so that gives the public that extra comfort that something's being done?
Yeah, that's something we need to try and improve, because we do have regular meetings with the umpires, we have regular meetings with the cricket committee and with the club, so perhaps we don't communicate that as much as we ought to, and that may encourage people to realise how great our sport is, because reality is it does get a lot of visibility when you've had 4 offences, so 4 people out of 300 people playing cricket isn't the majority of cricket. It isn't acceptable, but you're right. I think after the meeting tomorrow, I think we'll try and get out and speak with people like yourself, so the public can understand. We are really working hard to respect the tradition and the culture of our great game.
Any thought? Last question, but any thought of maybe allowing, because cricket, you guys are governed by ICC rules, but also there's always an opportunity to put in what we consider local rules.
Yeah.
Any thought of maybe getting the players to buy in by saying, you come up with some rules, and that we could possibly, not saying you will, but possibly implement if these things are done?
Yeah, we're open to anything that makes the game better. So we have the ICC format. We adopt it with our regulations, as you say. We have some punitive elements of that, but whatever the stakeholders, and whether it's a spectator, whether it's the media, whether it's a player, whether it's a coach, we'll take information from all and try and incorporate, because we have to work together as a country to make our sport continuously better. So absolutely, I'd thoroughly embrace it.